Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a really profound piece of ancient spiritual wisdom. We're unpacking how its metaphors offer literally the perfect antidote to our modern era of burnout. We'll be exploring a specific Hukamnama, which is a divine command or daily reading from Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. It's an absolutely incredible text. And honestly, as we go through this, I think you're going to be amazed at how directly these ancient words speak to the exact anxieties you and I face every single day.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like your mind is just being blown in a million different directions? If you're a young professional right now, that feeling is probably just your default state, right? We are constantly overwhelmed by endless demands, multitasking, and the sheer crushing exhaustion of hustle culture. We're expected to be everywhere, do everything, and never drop a single ball. It's exhausting. But you know what's really fascinating? This feeling, it isn't actually new at all.
So let's jump right into Section 1, Blown by Four Winds.
The Hukamnama addresses our scattered, modern minds right out of the gate with this brilliant metaphor. It says, "O Shaykh, you wander in the four directions blown by the four winds." Think about how perfectly that captures our modern sensation of trying to do everything at once. We are wandering in four directions simultaneously. We're pulled apart by career obligations, social pressures, family expectations, and, our own internal anxieties. We are literally being blown around by the sheer velocity of our daily lives, totally unable to find a stable footing.
But right after naming that chaos, the text offers this incredibly gentle first instruction: bring your mind back to the home of the one Lord. It's a call to self-awareness. It's asking us to recognize this chaotic wandering and then actively, intentionally, call our fragmented attention back to a centered, quiet home. Instead of just letting the winds push us around all day, we're being invited to anchor ourselves inwardly.
Which brings us to Section 2, dropping petty arguments.
To understand what's actually causing a lot of this internal turbulence, the text gives us this advice: renounce your petty arguments and realize the word of the Guru's Shabad. Think about how much of our daily exhaustion comes from exactly this: petty arguments. I'm talking about workplace politics, endless debates in meeting rooms, or even just that heavy, ego-driven need to always be the one who's right. It totally drains our energy. The text is urging us here to drop that ego-driven friction and instead tune into a higher wisdom, the Guru's Shabad, which actually offers real clarity.
And this brilliantly illustrates the choice we have to make every single day. We've got the hustle on one hand, fighting for control, engaging in endless debates, which, let's be real, leads straight to exhaustion. And then we have the harmony. The Hukamnama tells us to bow in humble respect before the true Guru. He is the knower who knows everything. There is just immense relief in realizing you don't actually have to fight for control. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. By bowing in humble respect, we trade our exhausting ego for profound peace.
Moving right along, let's look at Section 3, the guest mentality.
This introduces what is perhaps the most practical, life-changing metaphor from the passage for dealing with modern anxiety. It says, burn away your hopes and desires and live like a guest in this world. Now, what's really interesting here is the use of the word burn. For an ambitious professional, the idea of burning your hopes and desires probably sounds terrifying, right? But it doesn't mean giving up your goals. Actually, scratch that. It's more about burning away your anxious attachment to those goals. It means releasing that heavy, suffocating anxiety about the future, allowing you to experience your life with incredible lightness, just like a guest.
Let's really break down this guest analogy. If you are a resident who owns a house, you're constantly stressed out. Is the roof leaking? Are the property taxes paid? You are anxious, controlling, always worried about outcomes. But if you are a guest in a beautiful home, you just appreciate it. You don't stress about fixing the plumbing, do you? The Hukamnama is teaching us to approach our careers, our relationships, our whole lives with this guest mindset. You can absolutely engage fully and appreciate the beauty of your life without suffocating under the need to control every single outcome.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that this text gives us a very clear, structured pathway out of burnout. Step 1, bring the mind home from the scattered winds. Step 2, bow in respect and drop that petty need to be right. Step 3, burn away the anxious attachment to your desires. And Step 4, live lightly as a joyful guest in this world.
Now let's dive into Section 4, the embroidered coat.
We now enter the Pauree, the final section of this reading, which shifts from giving us instructions to giving us a stunning metaphor for our own inherent self-worth. The text says, "The Lord has adorned the coat of the body. He has embroidered it with devotional worship.
This is just such a beautiful elevation of the human experience. In a world that constantly tells us we need to achieve more to be worth something, this ancient wisdom tells us that our very bodies, our very lives are like fine silk coats, intentionally embroidered and beautifully crafted by the divine.
Let's unpack that metaphor a bit. Your life is woven with divine silk in many ways and fashions. It is embroidered with devotion. It's a rare gift of grace. Think about how viewing your life as an intentionally crafted, sacred garment radically changes how you treat yourself. I mean, you wouldn't throw a hand-embroidered silk coat on the muddy floor, would you? You'd treat it with care. This wisdom replaces our harsh self-criticism and hustle-induced burnout with a really profound, gentle appreciation for our own existence. But, there is a contrast we absolutely have to acknowledge here. The Hukamnama warns that for those who do not contemplate the Naam, the divine name or presence, their clothes and food are cursed. This perfectly describes the emptiness of modern materialism. You might have the nicest clothes, you might eat at the absolute best restaurants, but if you live without spiritual grounding, it feels empty, almost cursed, right? But on the flip side, when you live in awareness of the divine, you recognize your true embroidered coat and you find deep, lasting fulfillment.
Which leads us to our final part, Section 5, Walking in Harmony.
This brings us to the ideal state of being described in the text, a state of perfect, harmonious balance. The text frequently uses the term Gurmukh. Let's define this for our modern context. A Gurmukh is someone who is guided by the Guru. It is the ultimate state of living in harmony and truth. Rather than being driven by the ego, reacting to office politics, or getting distracted by those four winds we talked about earlier, a Gurmukh is completely absorbed in divine virtues and understanding. They're perfectly centered. As the text beautifully puts it, O Nanak, the Gurmukhs chant the glorious praises of the Lord. They are absorbed in his glorious virtues. Because they have brought their minds home and really adopted that guest mentality, they have the bandwidth to actually focus on the infinite good in the world. They aren't stressed about controlling outcomes. They are simply joyfully absorbed in the glorious virtues of the present moment.
Yet the Hukamnama gently reminds us, how rare is that person of understanding who deliberates within? Finding this inner peace isn't something that just magically happens to you. It is rare. It requires deliberate internal reflection. It requires you to consciously step back from the hustle and choose to seek that grace and understanding. It's a daily, intentional practice to turn inward.
So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought as we wrap up our explainer today. How will you choose to wear your embroidered coat as a guest in the world today? Will we let the four winds blow us into a state of anxious exhaustion, or will we remember our inherent worth, drop the petty arguments, and navigate our day with the grace and lightness of a grateful guest? The choice, and the peace that comes with it, is entirely ours. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. I hope you found it as centering and inspiring as I did.